There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Hi.
Goodness me. Hello, how are you?
You.
Very good indeed. Thank you. I was just saying, I'm getting so irritated. I know Mercury retrograde is supposed to have kind of been easing off, and it just has been doing my nut today. Emails not going through, calls not going through in time. I'm like, come on, guys.
Goes
Let's just work
okay.
together. I tell you, I tell you,
Exactly.
I tell you. But we're here now, and thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well indeed, thank you, aside from the mild irritation and frustrations. But all good, all good, all good.
Was
So,
good.
Sandra,
Yeah.
first of all, a huge thank you for taking time out of your day to do this call with us or do this interview so that we can learn a little bit more about you and the fascinating
Absolutely.
world of reflexology and everything else that goes along with it. And one of the key
Yeah.
things that I wanted to discuss with you was the very first uh, conference that you did with us. You did a video on foot reading. And I would love it if we
Yeah.
could touch on that a little bit today because I want to hear all
Awesome.
about it. But before we go into that, why don't you tell our listeners about you? Who is Sandra Hedges, the person behind this amazing practice that you built for yourself?
Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Um, so who am I? Well, basically, my background is very much linked with nature. I grew up with a family who went to game reserves and nature reserves for holidays. So from an early age, I fell in love with nature and conservation, and I have a lot of that in my background. I studied nature conservation, so I've got a close connection with all things natural. And one
Mm-hmm.
thing led to another, and I found my way into the healing field. And of course, I went the natural route. And after much research, I ended up doing reflexology. And from there, it's just been an absolute snowball. One thing's just led to the next. Once you start on this, in this line, there's so much to learn. There's so much that grabs your attention. You just want to grow, 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 and give, and learn, learn, learn. So it's just been an amazing journey. So yeah, that's me. I love what I do, and I'm very grateful that I've found this path. So yeah.
How amazing. Now, I have to ask, was, 'cause you mentioned, you've been involved with nature conservation, so it does sort of seem like a natural progression. But was there
Yeah.
ever a major life-changing event, or was it more just something that the universe was just kind of pushing you in one direction?
Mm. I never envisaged myself doing this sort of work. I worked with animals, and that's all I ever wanted to work with. So
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting when my husband and I attended a course at church one time, and right at the end of the course, they spoke about what our names mean, and my name means helper of mankind. And that was the trigger. That kind of just got me thinking. For whatever reason, I just decided that maybe I need to start doing a bit more work with people, and of course bringing nature into that was the trigger. That's just where it
Mm,
ended up. Yeah, just interesting, but it got me there.
fantastic. Oh, no, I love hearing like the stories from different people and hearing how they got into this healing field because everybody has a little bit of a story behind it, what kind of got them going. And because I think every single person that I've spoken to and in my friend circle, etc., who work in the healing field all say
Mm-hmm.
never once envisaged that this was what I was going to be doing with my life. There's, there's, I don't think there's a single kid on the planet who, when you ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I really want to be a healer. No, that's not something that we kind of say we want to do. But yet here we are, and we're trying to help the world and see where we can go with that. So
Absolutely.
speaking about that, what is sort of your goal for the future for your practice and for helping mankind?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I just I've just actually moved to a new area, so I'm very much open to wherever the universe is guiding me right now. But I would love to really I have a few plans. I want to, have a very good connection with each client that I see, and I do believe that people who are meant to come to me will come to me. And so I've got that practice going, but I've also got some ideas to do some wellness retreats, and to do a lot more work with the chakras. And we'll just see where it leads. I'm just kind of taking it day by day at this time. Yeah. So.
Fantastic. I actually love that approach because I think, well, I can't talk for everyone, but myself specifically, I do tend to get a bit caught up in with, oh, well, I must do this and I must do that. And it's my corporate background coming out, got to plan out for the next year. And it's so refreshing to hear someone say, no, actually, I'm going to take it one day at a time and see where my energy is needed, and we'll go in that direction. I think we can all learn from that, just flow with it a bit more.
Absolutely. That's been quite a lesson for me as well, because I'm also very inclined to want to organize and plan. But yes, actually, since I've been in this field, I've learned to just slow down. I've learned to let go some control and just kind of go with the flow. And it's actually quite a relief to do that. Life gets easier and simpler when you can afford to let go a bit of control and just go with the flow.
Oh, no, exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. And it's something I think maybe over the holiday season, I'm going to meditate on it a little bit more and just see what I can do with that and learn to surrender a bit more to the will of heaven, if you want to call it that. So, yes. Now, on to the interesting stuff, or at least interesting for me. So, sorry to our listeners if it's not interesting for you, but I think you will find it very interesting. Reflexology and foot reading. We all kind of know a little bit about reflexology. It's something that people have heard about for years and years and years. But how does it differ from foot reading, and what is foot reading? Like, how does that work?
Okay. So yeah, foot reading links in very strongly with reflexology, obviously, because we're looking at the feet essentially with reflexology, although we do address other areas of the body. So foot reading is very much about looking at the markers on the feet. So whether we're talking about calluses or coloration or dry skin or anything that we see on the feet, that is an indicator of what's going on with the physical body, depending on obviously where the marker is located on the foot and what area of the foot that represents. But also looking into the deeper aspects of life. So mental, emotional, career, family, chosen direction in life, anything like that. So we divide the foot up into zones, vertical and horizontal zones. And where those intersect will tell us how, say, for example, we're looking at the big toe. So the big toe is very much about the mental space, the head space. So if we've got something going on the big toe, we need to look a little deeper in terms of what is affecting the mental energy of the person. And there we sort of go into the micro aspects of the big toe. Then we divide that toe into the 5 zones again, and we see which area of that toe is actually being influenced. So maybe it's the career that's causing the person mental strain, for example. And we really can get into the deep underlying areas of concern for that person. And then we can link then the symptoms that we're picking up in the reflexology treatment to those signs on the foot. And we can give people a better understanding of what's actually going on at the core of those symptoms and what's led to that health condition or whatever the case may be. And what areas of life they actually need to start looking at and addressing in order to be able to heal, and kind of from the inside out, really.
That is incredibly interesting. And I must admit, when I first started looking into it, when you were joining up at the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, I was like, I sort of thought it would just be I say just, but I kind of thought like, oh, it'll be something along the lines of, discoloration means you've got a problem with your kidneys, for instance, in a certain zone of the foot. But it really is so intriguing that, no, you're able to really see deep emotional, let's call it spiritual energies through the foot. And, people wouldn't even begin to imagine that.
No. Yes, many people neglect their feet, actually. They kind of down
Mm.
there somewhere, and a lot of people apologize for the condition of their feet when they come to me. But I always say, don't worry, reflexologists look at the feet very differently. And yeah, what
Mm-hmm.
I see there tells me a lot about what's going on with you and your life. And yes, it's an extremely interesting field. And I've done many foot readings now over the last couple of years, and I haven't had anybody say to me that what I'm telling them is not accurate. Everyone's blown away by how accurate their feet reflect what's going on with their lives. And it can take you back to childhood, to all sorts of, issues that you've possibly long forgotten about, but that are still actually playing a very important role in terms of your health.
And this, I think, is something that the world really needs to wake up to. That, and funny enough, I was saying this to, or we were having this discussion with another speaker that I interviewed last week, Birgit, and she does, oh, I don't want to get this wrong, iridology. So she reads
Okay.
the eyes, the irises of the eyes. A lot
Absolutely.
more for medical purposes, but also kind of for holistic approach to everything. But what we were saying is, it's so interesting how these emotional, mental issues, I won't necessarily call them traumas because it's not always a traumatic experience. It can just be something that someone's holding on to. They're unable to learn that lesson or whatever the case may be. But how that shows up in the physical being. We're taught
Right.
that in spirituality and within the Bible as well, as above, so below,
Mm-hmm.
and it is so clear that holds true no matter what you're looking at. And the physical is very much a representation of the spiritual as well. And I really do hope for the day when medical science in the West, at least, in the East, I think they've kind of gotten it down already, but in the West is able to start integrating these practices so that your surgeons and the guys who are handing out prescription medication only have to do it for really serious issues, and that instead of stress-related disease, that they've got a foot reader on call who tells them you need to work through this. Otherwise the stress levels are gonna go up, and let's release that negativity. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that would be amazing.
Fantastic. Yes, indeed. The body is so capable of healing itself, and naturally and easily and quickly if it's given the right support and the right guidance. So yes, and I think people are starting to realize now that, we have all the resources available to us within ourselves and within nature in order to support us through anything, really. We just got to know where to look and how to read our bodies and how to understand what the messages are that they are representing through physical symptoms and stuff. So yes,
Absolutely.
it's a fascinating field. It really is. And I think
No,
it's
for
on the
sure.
up and up. Are really starting to value and appreciate a lot of the original natural healing therapies, and to see that these harsh chemicals are not, they have a place, of course, but we need to go back to basics, go back to nature first.
For sure, for sure. The harsh chemicals have their place, again, in really chronic issues. But again, it's so sad that as you say, we're not taught to give our bodies the support that it needs in order to do its own healing. Because absolutely, the body is able to heal itself from a myriad different illnesses if it's given that space and support to do so. But we're just not trained how to do that, unfortunately. And that is
Yes.
I think, quite sad. But
Yeah.
okay, so one thing I do want to ask you as well in regards to all of this is, you've obviously been a speaker on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, and we really do thank you for your ongoing contribution to us. And for those who are listening here today, the link is in my bio if you are wanting to check out Sandra's talks. She is on there on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. You can purchase your tickets. But is there any new projects that you're wanting to discuss? And then also, how can people get in touch with you should they want to book a session? how do they go about getting in touch?
Okay, so the best thing would be just to have a look at my website, www.holistichealthhub.co.za. All my contact details are on there, so send me a WhatsApp or an email if you want to, make contact from there. And yeah, new projects, I'll pop those onto Facebook or to the website once I'm up and running with some retreats and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that.
Fantastic. I'm definitely going to be tagging Sandra in the post on this, so you'll be able to go through to her Instagram page. If you are seeing this on Facebook or YouTube, there will be links in those bios as well through to Sandra's website, so you can just click on through and get in touch. I did notice on your website that there is a nice little pop-up that comes up about future retreats that are coming through. So very excited to see what the future holds. And thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much as well, and for hosting this. It's fantastic. Really appreciate that as well.
Only but a pleasure. And we'll definitely speak very, very soon. Anybody who's catching the replay of this, please do feel free to leave any questions in the comments for either Sandra or myself or both, and we will be happy to assist in any way we can. Okay?
Great.
Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening.
And you. Take care.
Thanks. Cheers then. Bye.